Welcome to the 2025 JCRC elections rally. The sequence of events are as follows. There will be speeches from the proposers and the nominees, and then followed by a quick question and answer session. We will start with the first nominee. Marcus Tang is the first financial director candidate of this year. His proposer is Brendan Teo. He is a year 2 that majors in theatre studies, and his year 1 commitments include drama sectress, Green Committee, Eusoff Works, DB Assistant Product Manager. His year 2 commitments include drama head, Green Committee Pubs head, Eusoff Works sectress, Rec sectress, Flag sectress, DP Production Manager, and Finance Con. May we now invite him to provide his opening address.
Hello. Can you hear me, right? Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Marcus, and I'm running to be your next finance director. To some of you, I'm probably just that guy who keeps chasing you for receipts. But beyond that, I really do care about helping everyone have a smoother time with hall finances. I pride myself on being meticulous, punctual, and someone who pays attention to the small things, because when it comes to money, the small things really matter. Whether it's catching a mistake in a claim or making sure that the right amount gets transferred, I try my best to make sure that things are done right and done fast so everyone can get their money back on time. This year, I was also drama head, which basically meant learning how to solve random problems on the fly, which is great training for anything time sensitive, including finance work. As FD, I want to make finances less of a headache. That means better reminders during event periods, using the finance call more effectively, and helping committees justify their budgets to the SCRC during budget defense. I want to make sure that everyone gets what they need on time and without stress. All in all, Eusoff has been an amazing place for me, and I really want to give back by running as in the JCRC, and I'll be honored to serve as your next finance director. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcus. May we now invite his proposer to provide his address.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay. So, hi, everyone. My name is Brendan, and I'm proposing for Marcus to be the FD to form part of the next JCRC body. Being a treasurer in year 1 and a CCA leader in year 2, I understand the need for an accountable, responsible, and meticulous treasurer. Undoubtedly, Marcus has been the best treasurer that I've worked with so far. His tireless work ethic has been something that I could fall back on during my time as a REC project director. During REC, Marcus had to liaise with the most with the Hall Office, and I believe that he's really built a good relationship and rapport with Ms. Rashida and Ms. Roena, which will be important as a finance director, as he has to be the point of contact between the treasurers and the Hall Office. I believe that he will carry out his duties as an FD well and ensure that claims will be processed in a timely manner. Thank you.
Thank you, Brendan. Now let's move on to our first performing arts director candidate, Madeline. Her proposer is Jasmine and her seconder is Kaylin. She's a year 3 double major in literature and multilingual studies. Her year 1 commitments include junior dance director, DP choreo, a cappella, band, DU, bash, HPB, and block com. Her commitments include dance director, DP choreo, a cappella head, and band. Her year 3 commitments include DP, band, and DU. May we now invite her to please provide her opening address.
Okay. Hi guys. Okay, so I'm Maddie and I'm running to be the PAD of Eusoff Hall. Some of you may know me as a dancer or a singer, but I just want to quickly share a bit more about my background and why I believe I'm suited for this role. So basically, I've been trained in dance and singing for 12 years, and beyond that, I've also experienced in drama and music, and I was involved in productions from a really young age. And I took part in drama for a couple of years in secondary school, and then had the chance to film with actresses like Jeanette Au, and I also played the saxophone for 4 years. So basically, having experience across like all the different fields of culture gives me a very good understanding of the unique needs of each CCA. And if elected, of course, I'll use this like background to help support every CCA in the way that allows them to grow and enjoy their craft. Yeah, so I'm confident that my strong work ethic will prove beneficial for the hall. Over the years, I've juggled multiple commitments such as leadership roles, jobs, and CCAs even before entering university. But despite that, I've held myself to a high standard and taken pride in the things I do. And it has trained me to work efficiently and effectively. And to back that up, last year as AKA head DD and choreo, I have accomplished quite a few things. Like AKA was scheduled for the most number of performances in the past 5 years. And in DP, I overlooked a much larger item size, crew, and also a larger, longer items basically. I believe all this shows that my commitment remains strong even when I take on heavy responsibilities. Looking ahead, my focus is on building on what we already have rather than adding new events that require time, money, and effort to plan. So I want to tweak the system we already have, making sure that they're more efficient, supportive, and sustainable for all Eusophians. So in recent years, the divide between sports and culture has improved a lot, and I want to keep the momentum going. But I believe healthier practice schedules and faster deconfliction of venues will help reduce burnout and make commitments more enjoyable for everyone. To do that, I'll focus on working cohesively with the sports director to foster greater support for both sports and culture CCAs. So having been both a leader and a member, I understand and sympathize with both perspectives, and my leadership styles address issues with patience rather than relying solely on authority. I believe that creating an open and communicative relationship where Eusofians are unafraid to speak up and problems are solved as they arise rather than tackled will allow Eusofians to really solve. Ending off, I won't make any promises about making the culture scene or Eusoff rise to greater heights because honestly, I cannot predict the future. But I can assure you that my genuinity, competence, and experience will prove very valuable for the hall, and it will be in my best interest to boost the Eusoff Hall spirit in both culture and sports. Thank you.
Thank you, Maddie. May we now invite her proposer to provide her address.
Can you hear me? Okay, great. Hi friends, my name is Jasmine and I'm proposing for Maddie to take up the role of Performing Arts Director in Eusoff's JCRC. I've worked with Maddie on multiple occasions. With each and every time, she has proven herself to be a caring, responsible and reasonable leader. She was my a cappella head in year 1, and though the talent pool was quite limited, she gave us opportunities to shine and made it as beginner-friendly as possible. I was a total noob at singing, but I have zero regrets in my experience at ACA because of the nurturing environment she and her co-head cultivated. As my dance director and mentor in DP last year, she showed me the ropes, from giving constructive feedback to keeping up with deadlines. She was also the one who showed me why it matters to protect my fellow choreographers and dancers and to stand by them in times of need. Having filled her shoes this year as dance director, I also realized that she truly contributed a lot during her tenure as DD, from the administrative side of things to intense people management. I think it's no easy feat to juggle 2 head roles in culture at the same time, but she did a great job despite many challenges along the way. Even this year, Maddie continued to contribute significantly to Eusoff. She has been an incredibly consistent band member and a respectable senior in this year's DP and DU. Maddie is undeniably well-versed towards Eusoff's performing arts. With 3 years of experience, I can assure you that if you were to vote her in as Eusoff's PAD, you have an empathetic and understanding leader who cares about our culture scene. If you ask anyone that's worked with her consistently and closely, you'll know that Maddie pulls her weight and that she's a hard worker. I know her tongue can be sharp at times, but I believe that this is one of her key strengths. Maddie is not afraid to call a spade a spade. She's not afraid to set her boundaries, and she's not afraid to say what others fear too. When she makes a stand, she does so confidently and, more importantly, reasonably. Above all, Maddie has a sense of realism that can be beneficial for our hall as a whole, and I trust that she's able to prioritize Eusoff and get things done for our hall. Therefore, I would like to propose Madeline Chow as Eusoff's PAD.
Thank you, Jasmine. Next, we have our second Performing Arts Director candidate, Akshata. Proposer is Mikhail and her seconder is Kaina. She is a Year 2 major in Data Science and Analytics. Her Year 1 commitments include drama, choir, DP, hackers, and badminton, while her Year 2 commitments include drama, chorabella, ACA, DP, and flag PD. Next, can we have our proposer, Mikhail, to deliver his address?
Hi. Yeah, so I'm Mikhail, and I would like to introduce one of the PAD candidates, Akshta. So Akshta is someone I have worked closely with over the last 2 years through various capacities, through DP cast, DP marketing, drama, choir, chorapella. And I believe that the most notable thing about her is her energy and enthusiasm. So despite being in a completely new environment when she first came to Eusoff or even first came to Singapore, she embraced her new environment wholeheartedly, and she displayed much eagerness to explore and maximize what Eusoff has to offer. And not only that, Akshta has demonstrated dedication and commitment to all of the endeavors that she chose to undertake. As a leader, she has shown that she has a lot of initiative and she has a lot of creativity when it comes to tackling problems on the fly. And I believe that her enthusiasm, creativity, and sheer passion for the performing arts are things that Eusoff as a whole can benefit from. Thus, I would like to propose Akshta to be the next PAD. Thank you.
Thank you, Mikhail. Now, can we invite Akshata to deliver her address?
Hi. Hi everyone, I'm Akshita and I'm running to be your next Performing Arts Director. These last 2 years, I've had the incredible opportunity to be part of Kora, Drama, and DP, and each culture CCA has provided me with an invaluable experience. Culture CCAs are one of the main reasons that I choose to stay at Eusoff, and not just because of the friends I've made through them. Not only was I able to hone my pre-existing skills, but also pick up those that I didn't have the opportunity to before. And I think one of the main reasons for this was the leadership of each of these CCAs. I've grown under great leadership, and now I'm ready to give back by leading with the same dedication, patience, and passion that shaped my own experience. When I first joined Yusof, one of the things that stood out to me and honestly made me want to stay was the sense of community. But over time, I started to notice how easily that community can feel fragmented, whether it's between sports, communities, or culture, or even between internationals and locals. Sometimes it feels like we're all living in the same space, but in different worlds. And that's exactly what I want to change. As performing arts director, my vision is to build a Yusof where culture is not just something a few people do, but something every Yusofian sees, hears, and feels. A hall where performing arts is supported just as much as sports, not just with applause at showcases, but with genuine energy, presence, pride, and passion. We already have passionate and talented individuals in our culture CCAs. My goal is to support them even more, to make sure that they have the tools, encouragement, and opportunity to thrive and feel appreciated, stay excited about their craft. This would include providing CCA heads with the flexibility to explore new ideas and platforms that they wish to. I want to continue the strong foundation laid by my predecessors, but also bring in new energy, fresh ideas, and a deeper sense of connection across Yusuf's communities. But beyond support, I want to build more connection, which is why I proposed a culture camp and sports X Culture Day in my vision for Yusuf. More importantly, I want to create a more open cross-CCA space where people can collaborate, support, and show up for each other, no matter what their primary role in Yusuf is. The heart of it all, that I believe that culture should feel like home, not just for those performing, for those watching, supporting, and cheering their friends on. I'm not running for PAD just to organize events. I'm running because I care deeply about the people behind the performances, the bonds that are built through art, and the potential that we have when we come together. If you believe in that too, I'd be honored to have your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Akshata. Next, we have our Honorary General Secretary candidate, Mikhail. His proposer is Vienna and his seconder is Win. He is a Year 2 major in Data Science and Economics. His Year 1 commitments include a cappella, choir, drama, EHDP, EDC, and CMC, while his Year 2 commitments include chorapella, EHDP, CMC, band, DU, swim, and Dreamcom. May we first invite his proposer, Vienna, for her address.
Hello. I'm Vienna and I'm the proposer for Mikhail's nomination as Hon Gen Sec. I've known Mikhail for the past 2 years that we've both been in hall and the same course. And over these 2 years, Mikhail has proven to be someone with a strong sense of dedication and responsibility throughout the many commitments that he has taken in Yusof. He is someone who holds himself to a very high standard, strives for excellence, and makes sure that he learns from his mistakes. Mikhail is also someone that I know to be systematic and organized both in hall and in studies. Hence, I believe the role of Hon Gen Sec suits him the best. Above all of this, Mikhail is someone reliable and will always show up, often going out of his way to help others, often offering help with me in my studies. I believe that he is someone who puts other people's best interests at heart. Thus, I find that being Hon Gen Sec is quite fitting for Mikhail. Thank you.
Thank you, Vienna. May we now invite Mikhail for his address.
Good evening, everyone. I am Mikhail and I'm running for Hon Gen Sec. So firstly, I believe Yusof is an ever-growing community that I honestly feel privileged to be a part of. So even upon entering as a freshie 2 years ago, I felt welcomed and encouraged to explore new things. And now as I become part of the more senior batches in Yusof, I think it's only fitting to make use of my own skills and talents to give back to this community and help it grow further. And I strongly believe that one of the best ways that Yusof can grow is by having strong, sustainable systems in place. So especially in the administrative side of things. And that is why I'm running for Hon Gen Sec. I am someone who naturally leans towards structure and organization. So I like to ensure that things run as smooth and as efficient as possible. I also like to be meticulous and thorough with all of the work that I do, saving time and effort from having to redo tasks. So personally, I'm a huge fan of spreadsheets and calendars, and I believe that with so many CCAs and events in hall, keeping track of all of the small details is very vital to avoid clashes and to make sure that all of the events are successful. So my goal as Hon Gen Sec is very, very simple. If admin runs smoothly, then all Yusofians, especially the heads and captains, can focus all of their time and effort into their trainings, their pracs, their committees, and even their academics. So if elected, I will do my best to make sure that all of the behind the scenes work is one less thing for people to worry about. Thank you.
Thank you, Mikhail. Next, we have our Vice President External candidate, Rowena. Her proposer is Joyce and her seconder is Kaylin. She is a Year 1 major in Business Administration, and her Year 1 commitments include netball, CMC marketing, SMC procs, and volleyball. May we first invite her proposer, Joyce, for her address.
Hi everyone, I'm Joyce and I'm proposing for Rowena to take on the role of VPE. So some of you may have already seen Rowena at big events or on stage, and mostly for fun, front-facing roles. But what most people don't usually see is how she's also working hard behind the scenes. Be it for group projects, or as Gem and Hot PD, or as marketing, I've seen her stay up countless of nights and making sure everything goes smoothly. This goes to show her accountability, and in the event of any emergencies, she's always there to support and back you up. And this leads me to my next point. One of Rowena's biggest strengths is her people skills and how well she reads the room. Whether it's performing under pressure or just a light-hearted discussion, she always knows when to be firm or when to crack a joke. And she also knows when to be assertive and take the lead, but also when to step back. Gathering all her strengths, I know that she'll bring the same energy into how she connects with our alumni, which is a very big part of being VPE. She's also able to blend professionalism with her bubbly and cheerful personality, making everyone working with her feel cared for and supported for. And this matters because genuine interpersonal or work relationships are important with people like Rowena. In my opinion, she has the ability to build trust naturally, resolve conflicts through her use of words, and make others naturally gravitate towards her. This will make her a good candidate to build meaningful and mutually beneficial connections with existing alumni for Eusoff.
Thank you, Joyce. Next, can we invite Rowena for her address?
Hi everyone, I'm Rowena and I'm running for the position of Vice President External. So for those who don't know me, I'm currently studying business. And actually some questions that my block mates always ask me is this. Is your homework coloring? Are you learning about shapes and figures? And I always laugh along because fair, right? But being a business student and project director of one of business's freshman orientation programs, let me share about what I've actually learned that I'll bring into this role. So firstly, I'll emphasize the importance of mutually beneficial relationships. So I found that the most meaningful and long-lasting partnerships are those where both sides stand to gain something valuable. As your next VPE, I want to be the bridge between Eusoff and our alumni, making sure that our hall is well supported, while also showing alumni that they are an essential part of this home. So secondly, I've also learned how individuals shape communities and will continue to emphasize this in my duties. So in business, I actually took a more on organizational behavior and also leading my own committee. I've come to see how one person's attitude can ripple across a whole team of space. As VPE, I'll lead with a people-first mindset, ensuring that even in a structured top-down role, I'll advocate for what you need so that we can all thrive as one Eusoff. Lastly, I'll also bring strategy and adaptability into my role. So from my experience, initiatives don't always go as planned. So business and hall life has taught me to think on my feet, respond to feedback, and adapt strategies quickly. You can count on me to approach alumni engagement with both structure and flexibility, always open to ideas, always learning. Other than that, I aim to work closely with the rest of the JCRC and to support the rest of the members to the best of my abilities, to ensure that hall life is the best experience and a place of growth to everyone. So to end off, I may be just coloring in business, but I hope to color our alumni relations with fresh energy, deeper bonds, and a whole lot of heart. Thank you. I love your support as your next VPE.
Thank you, Rowena. Next, we have our Student Affairs Director candidate, Alicia. Her proposer is Ting Hui and her seconder is Jody. She is a Year 2 major in Computer Science, and her commitments since Year 1 include EDC, Drama, Swim, Green Com, EW, DP, REC, FLAG, and DU. Can we please invite her proposer, Ting Hui, for his speech?
Hi everyone, I'm Ting Hui, and I'll be proposing for Alicia to take up the role of Student Affairs Director. Alicia was my VPD, and VPD for REC, and under her leadership, my experience as a floats head went by smoothly. She always focused on the welfare of the REC freshies and prioritized their experience over results, while ensuring work still gets done. I find that to be an important quality to have in an SAD. She's incredibly energetic, cheerful, and friendly. She's the type of person that anyone from the student body can find comfortable to talk to. She's a great listener and makes my concerns feel heard, regardless of whether she is talking to me as a friend or as a leader. Because she's someone with a lot of interests, from Chinese dance to climbing to saving the environment, it goes without saying that she's able to empathize with many different perspectives, something which is also very important for a hall that has a lot of people with different interests. I admire Alicia's ability to manage so many commitments. She's a leader of a variety of things, from drama head to EW video head. And what is more amazing that she's able to produce meaningful results without compromising on the experience or the welfare of members. And I find that it's very fortunate for someone as capable and caring as Alicia to really prioritize and commit to Eusoff. Therefore, I would like to nominate Alicia as Eusoff's Student Affairs Director. Thank you.
Thank you, Ting Hui. Unfortunately, Alicia is unable to make it for today's rally. She has sent in a video with her speech and we'll be viewing that now. Okay, hold on, we have some audio issues. Give me a while. Oh, how do I keep Zoom? You weird. So, what? So, wait, okay, wait. I need to.
Hi guys, I'm really sorry that I can't be here for today's rally because I'm currently at a performance bump in, but I'll be asking my friend to help me record my video. Okay. Hi guys, I'm Alicia Chang and I'm running to be your incoming Student Affairs Director. So when I think of SAD, the first thing that comes to mind is Eusoffians' well-being. The first thing I would like to address is our facilities management. Staying in hall means that we spend a lot of our time here, from going to training, going for pracs, chilling with your friends, studying, sleeping, doing your laundry. And that means we really spend a lot of time here. So that's why I feel that facilities management is very important. Like for example, when the printer spoils or there's out of like dish soap. So these are the kind of things that bring minor inconveniences to us, but it will greatly improve our experience in Eusoff if these fixes can be made quickly. So I'll work closely with the block heads to ensure that complaints will be reported ASAP, such that our facilities can be fixed really quickly. Another thing that will greatly improve our experience in Eusoff is the friends that we make here. I hope that Eusoffians won't be afraid to get to know people outside of their usual circles and their CCAs. And I'm really hoping that I can do one HMC event of SEM involving the whole hall so that Eusoffians can meet people outside of their normal circles and people that they don't really normally talk to. Of course, I'll work closely with the block heads to ensure that it doesn't clash with their own blockcom events or like the blockcom's busy periods. And I'll make sure to have a central calendar to ensure that these block and HSC events don't clash. So to end off, Eusoff really holds a special place in my heart, and my experience here is really something I won't exchange. So I really hope I can create the same experience for other Eusoffians as your SAD. Thank you.
We will now have a short 5-minute intermission, after which we will have a Q&A session. Okay, welcome back. We will now commence the question and answer session. For this session, we will allow both online and offline questions. If you would like to ask a question, feel free to unmute your mic and state your name and ask your question. We will start with the Mentimeter questions first. Hi, Eusoff. This is not a question. Okay, to Maddie, if you really love Eusoff so much, then why don't you... Okay, this is also not really a serious question. Maddie, would you like to answer this question?
Sure. I won't dye my hair again because honestly, it's a bit fried line. I don't want to fry it further. And I think health is very important, whether it's a CCA culture or my hair. So yeah, I think self-care is important.
Okay, thank you, Maddie. Hi, Akshata.
Sorry, Ethan. Can we do questions from the floor first? Then we'll do Mentimeter later.
Okay, sure. Any questions from the floor?
Hi. Sorry. Can hide the Mentimeter questions first? Like, you got another slide? Yeah, okay. We do this slide first, then we open questions to the floor first. Thank you.
Hello, may I ask a question? Okay, sorry, I have a few questions. I think I'll just ask the PADs first. So, firstly, for Maddie, I think just now earlier you mentioned that you're gonna work with the sports D to better the culture sports divide. Can I ask like how you are gonna do this? Like, do you have any like plans in mind on how you're gonna do this?
Yes, of course. Wait, let me on my camera. Okay, yeah. So basically, right, the previous years, like obviously the culture and sports divide has been getting better, but how I aim to do this is firstly, right, there's a lot of like conflict between if someone's both in sports and arts, they're like, oh, whose spread should I go for? I don't know why, but this year I think a lot of the hits were a bit like they didn't kind of work this through between like telling who to go to, like telling this poor soul to go to who first, right? And this poor soul is like scared, like, oh my god, am I going to get capped from sports? Am I going to get put in less parts? So I think first and foremost is convening with the hits, like deciding like, okay, maybe this person goes for half preg for this like one preg, then next week they'll go to half preg the other person, or they'll either have like, oh, one full preg maybe going like volleyball, then one full preg going for DP, whatever. So this is something that the previous years did. I think this year the hits maybe didn't quite convene with. So that's my main thing. Second thing is obviously like encouraging people to go for each other's like events to support. And obviously it's not something I can force because firstly, a lot of times like people are busy, right? Secondly, a lot of times like they're just not interested in that particular sport, for example. But I think how to make sure that there's mutual respect will be obviously to like, even if like those like simple like backslash and like let's fucking go Eusoff, that kind of thing, just click on it and just text your friends encouragement. And a lot of our choreos, like even for DP or even for like Akka and everything, I think can make it like a bonding session. Like just go watch your friend perform now, or like go and watch your friend play a game. So yeah, that's a few ways that I would kind of bridge the gap or try to make things run more smoothly between the two like sides of Eusoff in a way.
Okay, thank you. May I now ask Akshata, the other PAD, a question? So during your speech, you said that you want to help to build connections, and also like you were mentioning like a sports X culture day. And I would ask like, how do you plan on building these connections? And also for the sports X culture day, because this year we've had many events which did not have the best turnout rate. So how do you like firstly, like why do you think this would be a good idea given like the poor turnout rate so far? And how are you going to ensure a good turnout rate for this Sports X Culture Day thing?
Okay, great. So the first question with respect to connection, and the main thing that I think is that nothing can be forced, of course, whether it's with sports and culture or with connection. But what I propose may help bridge the gap a bit. So some of the things that I've mentioned with respect to connection is things such as having like a culture camp, which is just you know, showcasing what the culture, different cultures are and different culture CCAs do. And I know that a lot of it, especially for turnout, because it's a new concept, there has been a lack of attendance at a lot of events. People may be unsure about what to expect or worry, but it's something that we'll manage on the go. So maybe the thing is that I would frame it as a bonding event rather than a camp event. So it's a way to de-stress, make friends, learn more about hall life, and this should be advertised as low pressure and as inclusive as possible. So a lot of the events that we have right now are centered around coming around for booths and food and things like that. But this would be mainly about at the start of hall life. So it'll be more encouraging for people to actually come down at that point in time. Right. And for the sports X culture, sorry, can you repeat the question for sports X culture?
Oh, so for the Sports X Culture Day that you mentioned, like my question is because like this year, like we've had many events and like we've struggled to get people to come down for the events and usually the turnout rate isn't that great. So I want to ask like what would make this event attractive such that people come down and yeah, like how are you going to execute it such that people will come down and like the turnout is better.
Right. So I think one of the main things that I would do is that have it early on in hall life rather than later on, because of course, later on people start catching up with lectures and it actually starts hitting them that uni has started, right? So I'd have it earlier. And one thing that I think would actually make people attend is that a lot of us have EHBB or block best buddy kind of version of it. So it would be to have this kind of an event like a bonding event. So when you advertise it as a bonding event, a lot of people actually want to meet different people at hall, right? So that's when people will actually feel encouraged to come down. And it'll be challenges where members swap roles for a fun challenge and just see what it's like to be in the other man's shoes, right? So that would be my main way of actually encouraging participation.
Okay, sorry, wait, let me, Andrew, you got your answer? Oh,
Processing, but you can go first.
okay, so hi guys, I'm Jerica. So, I would like to direct a question to all the candidates. I think y'all can go around and share, what do you think is one thing that you would like to improve on this year? Like, what do you think is the one thing that Eusoff can improve on this year? And then how you would, like, what actions will you take in order to make this change or like make it improve such that next year it'll be better. I hope my question is clear. Y'all can choose who to go first.
If people don't mind, shall I go first? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I think one of the main issues that I have in Eusoff is, or rather one of the main concerns that I have with Eusoff is that there is a lot of segregation. And I say this as being an international kid myself. So I do know what it's like to come into a completely new environment and feel a little bit overwhelmed by all of it, right? So my main thing for with this aspect is to actually ensure that people know more about hall before they even come there. So there are a lot of things that actually blindsided me with respect to like CCA fair and how CCAs actually work and things like that. So it would be to have more information available on these things and on how actually a lot of hall activities function and how they work. So yeah, that would be my main concern and what I would do about it.
Okay, I can go next. Oh, I'm so sorry, Marcus. I saw you unmute yourself before me. You want to talk first?
Oh, it's okay. You can go first.
Okay. Okay, anyways, what I would say is actually like self-regulation. I think one reason why like Eusofians don't even attend a lot of events, right, is because they come into hall very bright and like, oh my God, I'm gonna start. And then later in the year, they just get tired. And not only that, like cliques form, right? And then you just don't get as excited to go. Or like stuff happens in CCA, then you no mood to attend and meet like people you obviously don't like already. So I think one thing that's important is self-regulation because Eusofians tend to take out a lot of things. And also they don't dare to speak up firstly when they cannot tahan or like they feel overwhelmed. Another thing is when they're tired, they don't know what to do because they feel like they just need to keep pushing. So I feel like one way that will help self-regulation, right, is to create more bonded like CCAs. And obviously it's like all CCAs want to be bonded. So how do you become bonded? I think personally being very open with the fact that it's okay to burn out. So one thing that I really like from the previous year's DP is that everybody was very open with like, I'm tired, then I'm gonna say. So I feel like this kind of attitude allows people to speak up when they require support. And obviously your heads will give them support. And if your heads can't give you support, then obviously I'm going to be there to give you support, given that it's my responsibility. And also because like you don't want Eusofians to burn out and then end up dreading hall. So I feel like if you improve self-regulation, right, your attendance for like events will be a lot higher because they're not tired, they're not sick of events yet. And it also gives everyone a better outlook towards the things they do and more passion in like eventually just enjoying their CCAs and the space and people around them and just loving Eusoff more in general. And that also raised like spirits, which is something that I feel has been dropping the previous years. But yeah.
Okay, I'll go next. So in terms of finances, I think this year one thing that has changed is that the NUS side that processes a lot of the finance claims has become a lot more strict. So there's a lot of things that they don't allow, and I want to make it more clear as a finance director on what should and shouldn't be done to the treasurers so that everyone can get their claims processed like quicker, because like the faster you submit the claim, the faster you can get your money back. So one way I aim to do this is by having to update the current finance guidebook. So I realized that the current finance guidebook is, I think, about 3 years old at this point. So I think by refreshing it and like having a short like FAQ segment where like I can point out the common errors that most treasurers make, we can spot the mistakes early and avoid a lot of back and fro between the treasurers and the hall office.
Hi. Okay, so for my side, I think it's very relevant to the role that I'm applying for as well as HongenSec. And as a CCA head for this year, one struggle that I had administratively was like planning out of my own events and ensuring that it doesn't clash with other events. So this includes like FR sales and basically just events in general. Because I realized there were a lot of calendars that were disseminated to the heads, and it was divided according to each category, whether your sports or like volunteering services or like your cult. And I think having these calendars are a very good tool to make sure that everything is consolidated and they don't clash. But the problem is that there's way too many calendars. So I think one thing to improve on is maybe regularly updating it more and like having a better overview of everything all at once that is happening in hall. So I think it also helps out with spacing out of events, especially FR events, since everyone is a student and like when as much as FR events want to do well and actually raise funds, um, Eusofians have limited funds that like personal funds themselves, so they don't want to keep on spending in succession. So spacing out of these events are very important, I feel.
Hi, okay, I'll just share like something that I noticed. So, um, something that's would be relevant to my role would like I will try to help out with more of the events planning because I understand that many of the Yusofians go into the role like the head positions. Maybe it's like their first time playing an event, so it possibly can lead to like a few problems such as promising of deliverables or like maybe um the funding is like not enough. So something that I would like to help out with is to like oversee more of the deliverables, support where I can in terms of events planning, and also like I would also like to explore the opportunity to connect more alumni to like the event, see like uh find more support for these events so that we can carry out better events with more resources.
That's all the candidates, right? Did I miss anyone? Okay, thank you all for your answers. I really appreciated listening to them, and I do hope that you are able to make a positive change next year.
Do we have any more questions from the floor?
Yes. Okay, for Maddie, right? I would like to ask, because just now you did say that people you hope to improve the self-regulation of people so that they will feel a bit less tired, and one of your solution is to create more bonded CCAs. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay, but the thing is, right, bonded CCAs, in order to have a CCAs to be bonded, you need to be committed to that CCA. That also means that the commitment for that CCA is high. And in Yusoff, generally people join multiple CCAs. So if you have to have a bonded like environment for all the CCAs, isn't isn't a bit contradicting with what you were saying that you want to make them feel less tired because they have more events to attend now?
Actually, no, I don't think bonded CCAs means you have more events to attend. Because, like, realistically speaking, right, your CCAs and your heads, like being a head myself, we plan what events you want to have in advance. And if I want to have bonded sessions, I'm not gonna force everybody to come. Realistically speaking, if I don't want you be, if you don't want to be bonded, there's nothing I can do to push you. And actually, all Eusofians will kind of like low-key rank in their head or prioritize. But it doesn't mean that they don't have to feel bonded to that CCA. So, for example, right, as a year 3, I joined, let's say, like DP or band this year. I'm a very small proportion of the CCA, you know. I'm a year 3 compared to everyone else who's probably like fresh and very excited or like got to know each other in EHOC, was EHOC OGL together, blah, 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 blah. But that doesn't mean that I would choose to extract myself from the situation just because I'm tired and not attend like CCA events or anything. I also think that just because I attend events doesn't mean I have to be wanted. If I attend CCA events and I kind of like just sit in one corner and not talk a lot, versus I attend my practices and I actually like help and bond with my members, then I'll be wanted. And I don't think that like going to CCAs will be tiring if you enjoy it. So I think it's like a kind of like a circular relationship, you know. You enjoy a CCA, it's not tiring. Then it goes round and round and round. It's just where you want to start. Whether you choose to enjoy it first or you choose to like put your best effort, then slowly make your time there worth. Not everyone like joins a CCA with the mindset that I'm gonna be extroverted and I'm gonna make a million friends. People sometimes join because it's like out of passion, then they slowly make friends. Then there's a kind of like energy you get from being present rather than having to attend like a million events. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. And I would like to ask Akshta. So you did mention about the segregation, and you have, and just now, our SD also asked you some question. I will ask something like, a bit more. So when you mentioned segregation, you did mention segregation between culture and sports, segregation between local students and international students, those type of things, right? Given the time you have, what would you like to prioritize? What kind of segregation would you like to prioritize? And how do you plan to execute it? Like in a more detailed steps.
Okay. Thank you for the question. And I think, right, there's no one right one that we can focus on, because I think a lot of focusing on segregation is also bridging and thinking of it as not just 2 separate groups or 3 separate groups, like we put it all together. So I think I'll address the international local divide first. I know that the time that I have is 1 year, but I think everything happens at the start, right? So as a freshie, I wasn't aware of what to expect at a CCA fair, the actual CCA, how the point system worked, nothing. But I learned it from talking with my local friends who are also freshies, but simply knew because they had seniors to talk to before joining Eusoff. So they attended pre-admission events, so such as EHOC, EHEC, or anything like that. But we international students simply just don't have the chance to attend that. So what I would propose for this is to be done in steps, which is like a survival handbook that I mentioned before, and intentional collaborations, like maybe partner up with the SAD to work or bond Eusoff and pair an international and local member for fun challenges. And I would say we do this in the start. So like NUS does it with the buddy program, why not make it more Eusophian and have our own version of it? With respect to the sports camp, I think my main aim is to work with the sports or culture camp in itself. My main aim would be to work with the CCA heads, plan short, engaging sessions that reflect their sport or with their dance. So it shouldn't be something that is it shouldn't be an actual intense thing, but it's a day in the life of kind of a thing, but condensed, right? So it's basically having the jam sessions or the fun sport sessions that already exist, but doing it instead of doing it individually by each CCA, just do it together and on a larger scale. So my main aim is to not have things that are created new, but based off of what we already have, to just scale it up so that everyone can have a good turnout and everyone can actually be involved and know what's happening. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Andrea, want to go?
You can go first.
Okay. I have a question for Rowena. So, this year it seems that you didn't join many CCAs, and as a result of that, you might not be as involved in hall. So jumping from somebody who might not be as involved in hall like CCAs, and also as somebody who's taking up the role of the Gem and Hot producer, how do you think that you will cope with the big jump in responsibilities as vice president? And also, what was my other question? Oh yeah, and how will you cope with like so much on your plate as like a producer and a vice president at the same time? If you don't understand, you can clarify, or if you cannot catch, can clarify also. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for that question. I totally understand where you're coming from. And I do understand how it looks, seeing that I did not take up as many commitments um during like my first year. Yeah, but I would like to explain it's cause like um my commitment for Gem and Hop actually started since like the start of year one. And I didn't want to put so many things on my plate, being that my role is like a very important one. So I wanted to focus my all my time on it. Yeah. So for this major commitment, it will be ending during the summer. And starting year two, I will not have any more major commitments. So I think that um commitments wise, the as when I start my position as VPE, I shouldn't have anything that would distract myself from the current role. So I already plan to space it out. As for the transition, I do understand there are some overlaps like between the things that I'll be handling, but I will have to make sure that I do a good handover so I can like plan for events ahead of time and to find out like what I really need to do properly and to ask important questions. So I think that's how I will transition to the next role. And also like from my experience, I think the transition is a continuous one. So if I have any questions, I'll make sure to like follow up on it and to ask like my predecessor like if I really need help or like to also um try to carefully consider any decisions I make.
Thank you.
Hi, okay, I'm Andrea, and I have a few questions for both Mikhail and Rowena. So firstly, to Mikhail, can I ask, because just now during your speech, you were talking about structures and systems. So can I ask what exact structures and systems you think are flawed as of now, and how are you going to fix them?
Okay, so thank you for the question. I mean, from the perspective of a CCA head and my current position in hall now, I don't have a full picture of what exactly is flawed or whether there is any like flawed structures. So I think to clarify more on what I said in my speech also is that yes, I'm a firm believer that having a strong structure and like organized system is very important for any organization. So I think the mindset going into this role isn't to immediately implement like new systems that I want, and it's more of like finding out what exactly, because I believe as if once I'm in the role, then I get a better picture of what is actually happening, and from there I can come up with solutions and discuss with fellow JCRC or fellow Eusoff leaders on what kind of systems are working and are not working, and then from there build solutions. So it's very it's more of like a need-based solution rather than, oh, I foresee I want to implement the system straight away, because it might not work if I just go into the role and, oh, I want to do this. But um alluding to my previous answer to Jerica's question, I think one thing that I did um have a challenge with was what the FR events. So I remember having a sit down session with uh the current PAD and in trying to plan out the FR events. And then that's when we realized that there were a lot of FR calendars that were sent out to different CCA heads. And because of that, we had a lot of we didn't know that we had clashes since on our version of the calendar, there's no clash, but actually there's like different people referring to different versions of the calendar. So small changes like that, as such as having a centralized calendar for all types of events, I think is very, very helpful for everyone, because as a CCA head, you want to have the transparency and foresight to make sure that your event doesn't clash with anyone else's, because it will firstly affect your turnout, and then if it's an FR event, then it will affect the amount of funds that you can actually raise. So yes, to summarize, I don't have a system that I immediately want to implement. It's more of go there, see what I can do, and I do think I have the skills and like dedication to come up with the necessary solutions. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now I have a question for Rowena. So, during your speech, I think you were talking about emphasizing connections and like saying like you want to build like fresher energies, deeper bonds, things like that. Can I ask if you have any um like tangible plans in mind on how to do this? Like, yeah, like how are you going to do all of this that you are talking about?
So, like when I was asking about the role, I do understand, like from what I understand, is that we currently have like a new president for the alumni association. So like the first tangible plan will be like to build and to build more like a better relationship with the new presidents first. And like by doing so, I'll probably like what I envision it to be is to like schedule certain chats over like coffee or like um just like meetings, small meetings with them, or like even just like messaging them. So the meetings probably can schedule like once a month or like whenever they're free. And as for like new connections, definitely have to look into like the list of the current people in the alumni association and see like what are their interests, what are they keen on supporting. So this will also involve me reaching out to them first, like through emailing or through like messaging them. Yeah, and then probably try to like every month have like a dedicated period where I actually go and network with these people. Yeah. So just to summarize, it will be to block out time to actually connect with them in real life to make a more impactful connection. Yeah.
Okay, wait, sorry. Then can I just clarify, like during your speech, like whatever you were talking about, like it's like purely on building deeper connections with alumni only, not exactly within the hall. Like whatever you were talking about just now.
I do understand that for my role is more outward facing. So I would definitely have to deal with the external people more and like alumni, like that's the main purpose of the role. But I do understand the importance of like internal hall connections because I do need to know like what people need, what people are looking for to align the visions between like the hall and like the alumni. So definitely when I'm stepping into this role, um I need to like up my game and like definitely put myself more out there to make connections with people in people in positions of like people in comms, like mainly the heads and like the director, see like uh to get a sense of like what Yusoff actually wants and needs.
Okay, thank you. Okay, one last question from me for now. I want to ask both of the PADs because like I don't really know both of y'all very personally or anything. So, and since you guys are running against each other, can you tell us why we should vote for you instead of the other person?
Maddie, do you want to go first or?
And you can go first if you want.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I think one of the main reasons why I think you should vote for me instead of the other person, or in this case, Maddie is quite a good leader and she has had a lot of experience. So I don't really feel comfortable. But yeah, so one reason why I think that you should vote for me is because I bring a fresh set of eyes to the seat and I have been part of multiple of these CCAs, and I have background in leadership that translates into a lot of things that I think Eusoff needs. My main thing would be that I think that I can genuinely bring a fresh set of eyes, not just from a local background and from knowing the scene at the Eusoff culture CCAs, but as an international kid, and I think that's my biggest advantage here. Yeah, so I want to have a lot more that is done for performing arts just beyond this. I want to continue my predecessor's visions, which is having, open sorts of communication and collaboration across CCAs. So rather than just maintaining as it is and focusing on pre-existing things, I think one of my main things would be to build up on the culture scene already. Yeah.
Okay. So for me, I think it's mostly experience. Because honestly, right, I've worked as a head before, like I was ACA head, and I understand the technicalities behind it, budget, planning, MVV, the whole Google Docs you have to fill up and send to everybody. I think that's something that I can definitely help with. Also because like I understand what is realistic and what is not. So like concepts of having more like events or maybe like reducing budget is honestly very, very difficult for the CCAs because budget is something everyone's super touchy about. Budget defense is something a lot of CCA leaders really spend a lot of time preparing. And I think giving more chances for them to lose their budget or drain their money going to somewhere else is something that nobody wants to do or it's not feasible. So honestly, it's kind of experience and the fact that I'm so close to my seniors and heard from the seniors who are also heads, I know what has been done, I know what has been tried and tested, and I know how certain conflicts can be resolved. Another thing that I think is very efficient another reason why I think I would be a solid candidate is also because I'm close to the upcoming heads. So I think about 4 or 5 of the CCAs, I know them and they've worked with me before and they've also approached me for advice. And this shows that they trust me, firstly. Doesn't mean that they're not going to trust like Aksha or whatever, but also means that they're familiar with the way I work. I'm familiar with the way they work. And I think that will really enable like a more smooth and like coherent/cohesive flow in the year in general. So yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, do we have any more questions from the floor?
Yeah, hi. I have a couple of questions, if you allow me. My first question goes out actually to Rowena. So I understand that, or at least I've hoped you've spoken with Nathan with regarding how we deal with external organizations. And I just want to ask, how do you see yourself dealing with abuse within these external organizations? Or rather in dealing with these external organizations? Because as you said, connections are very, very important, but I also am keenly aware of the fact that these connections can be abused. How do you see yourself dealing with that?
Yep, do understand the question. So firstly, I would definitely have to find out like the specifics of like abuse, like what happened, like yeah, what what is the events that are surrounding it, get the facts right. But next, then I will prioritize like the hall, like definitely have to put the hall first. So in dealing with the matter, right, definitely have to get someone to like back me up first, like maybe like another connection that also like realizes that that's not right and we should definitely do something about it and use that connection to help me like navigate current the current relations like of that person. Yeah, so definitely have to work with someone like bigger than myself to deal with it, especially since like we don't want to we like I do need like a bigger power to like help me out. Also have to consider how like it might look like to deal with the problem. So I do envision it to like firstly like slowly like cut out like the person from any like activities, like uh try not to like invite the person that's abusing the connections and then try to see like if there's any easy way to like exit like a easy um exit strategy for that person in the organization. Yeah.
Can I please clarify that when you say you will put the hall first, whether or not you're referring to the hall as an entity or to the hall residents.
I refer to the hall residents. So definitely, if there's any sort of abuse, we do need to protect the interests of the residents. Like if there are any if they experience any emotional harm or even emotional or mental harm, like that has to be protected. Yeah. And also I definitely have to be there to try to stop these things from happening. So I I do have to be present at the event to see what's happening and to identify any sort of connections that don't really have the best intentions. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for your answers, Rowena. My next question actually goes out to Akshata and Alicia. Elections.com, do you know whether or not these questions will be relayed over to Alicia?
As of now, we're still trying to work out an arrangement with her, but the preliminary agreement was that she will forego the Q&A.
I understand. Okay, then Akshata, this goes out to you. So as you know, in my time as the SAD, I have been working on integration and inclusivity. And having done that, I do run into some problems, right? So I just want to ask you, when you talk about inclusivity and in integrating both sports and culture and whatnot, are there any proper plans? Is there a fleshed out sort of proposal, or is it just a priority and not fully fleshed out? Because I understand you talked about the sports and arts camps, which I think is a pretty interesting idea. But do you have anything more tangible?
Okay, when you say tangible, do you mean that you want me to elaborate on that more? Because my main thing would be the sports X culture camp or EHBB but done earlier kind of a thing. So it's plans that I have, but of course this is all pending a lot of logistics that I haven't considered yet because it depends on the bandwidth of the CCA heads and of JCRC at that point in time as well. So if you can give me what sort of tangibleness you're looking for, I can give you more information.
Stuff like the other current JCRC members are talking about with regards to how to encourage this culture, because as you know, there is a pretty deep-rooted culture that results in what we're seeing right now. So do you have anything that could tackle this specific issue? Maybe that's what I'm asking regards to fleshing out.
Yeah, I think the main thing is, right, a line that comes up is walk a mile in a man's shoes before knowing him. So the thing that I actually want to talk about is that when we do the sports X culture camp, right, the main problem being turnout. Again, I think the main reason for turnout being poor is because things are held later on. Of course, because they also take time to get planned and approved and things like that. But by the time we hold them, say in week 4 or week 5, it's already catching up to people that university is picking up, especially for freshies. So they actually feel the brunt of university at that point in time. So the main aim that I have is to hold it earlier on. So not as early as EHawk, because a lot of people will not still be in hall, but a bit earlier. So maybe in week 1 or 2, actually have these events to make sure that there's enough turnout. We have good encouragement from our CCA head. So it shouldn't be that, oh, there's this event, you can attend it if you want, but I'm not making it, like a thing. It should be marketed as a bonding event. Say, get to know your Eusoffians better, have a better experience at hall than you could imagine. So don't just stick with maybe the crowd that you came in from JCRC from JC and from poly, with just move on and mingle with different people. So I think this would be the main aim. And I think this helps more than sports X culture. I think this helps with the international local divide that is there, right? And apart from this, for the sports X culture, I think it should be encouraged that by the CCA heads themselves, also by the PAD, the sports D, and the respective sports heads and CCA heads, because it is really great to see if a lot of people actually turn up at the sports events and cultural events as well. It's not as exciting to go for them otherwise if there's no passion for Eusoff that you see in that's roaring, right? So in order to actually have that sort of encouragement, it would be, hey, go meet new people, see what they're up to instead of coming in with preconceived notions. So I think the very, very important thing is to have it right at the start before there is any time for preconceived notions saying, oh, there's a kind of us versus them scenario going on. Yeah.
Right. I don't mean to challenge you too much, Akshata. I do hope I want to caveat this. There are two problems that I'm noticing, and I wonder whether or not you can tell me a solution to that. Number one is the timing of the event. You say you wanted to hold it in week 2, which is, again, who is going to plan it? And
I would assume the CCA heads and PAD or yeah.
okay, I
So we
understand.
can do that.
And
Yeah.
the second concern that I have is, isn't this already performed? Isn't this function already performed for the, or rather with orientation?
Right. Okay. So the main thing that happens with orientation, right, is that you get your orientation groups, at least for me, I didn't end up sticking around with my orientation group because a lot of it happened in week 0. So that's even before it's a lot of it started. And there wasn't an opportunity for a lot of people to actually attend it. So there is a gap in that situation, which is why I said we don't have it as early as week 0 or before uni starts or as late. I think this would be like the peak time to have it.
So,
So
Akshata, forgive me. So, forgive me for interrupting you, but you're saying that your plan is to essentially have a second orientation in week 2.
it wouldn't be an orientation, much rather a precursor to the CCA fair, if that makes sense. Yeah.
I understand. Thank you so much for your answer.
I have questions for Mikhail. So during my term in JCRC, I remember issues being brought up about CCAs that you were head in. So as a leader, how will you improve? Hello?
Sorry, you're muted.
Am I muted? Hello, hello?
Hi, sorry. Yeah, wait, I didn't catch the
Huh.
last part of the question. Sorry, can you repeat?
Sorry?
I didn't catch the last part of the question.
So there were issues that in your CCA that you were head in. So as a leader, how will you improve? And are you able to identify room for improvement?
Yes. Okay, admittedly, I think one issue that I ran into as a CCA leader in year 2 is overcommitment. Uh, Taking up DP is something very, very, very big. And as Corapella head, it's also it's technically a new CCA since we merged choir and a cappella, and it's essentially coming up with an entirely new structure for the CCA. And uh, I think my biggest learning point for one is the overcommitment, and another one is that uh, I think for coming into year 3, uh, considering that being in JCRC is also a very big role, and I don't really foresee myself having too much of other heavy commitments since I do feel that I also burnt out in year 2, so I want to avoid that for my future responsibilities. And I think uh I've talked with with the current PAD and my fellow leaders who I've worked with regarding um points on improvement. So uh another point of improvement is a more open line of communication with the people that I'm working with. So there are sometimes that for example there are tasks assigned and uh there's not much there wasn't much transparency whether there was progress being done, even though I was already working on it. I didn't really I fell short in communicating that I was already working on the stuff that I was working on, and I think it added to the stress with the people um that I was working with, and that is something that I do hope to work on as I embark on new roles. And uh Yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Sorry, let me clarify something. So just now you mentioned in your answer that you were burnt out from what you've done this year. Then I would like to ask if you understand how the responsibilities of a JCRC member and like what is expected of them, and how do you think that like being burnt out this year, like how do you think you'll be able to cope with the responsibilities of a JCRC member in the next year? Is it clear?
Yes, yes. Thank you for the question. So, I think another factor as to why I was also burnt out is because there were roles that I were rather more unfamiliar with. So, for example, coming up with the entire new system for the CCA, trying to think for Corapella, um, trying to deal with a slightly lower, uh, slightly lower talent pool this year, and for DP, working behind the scenes for such a big production. I I do admit that it's kind of like domains that I'm not super 100 like 100% confident in, but coming into I think another reason why I chose to run for um Set as opposed to maybe other roles, like for example, running for PAD as well, is that uh, I do think I am like admin work and like keeping up with all that kind of related work is something that I am strong in, because I also have other commitments outside. So like for example, I have a as part of UNAS, I'm also currently the Assistant Secretary General. So I, in terms of that line of work, I am already well versed in keeping up with all of the meetings, keeping up with deliverables, minutes, keeping track of details of events. It's something that I have experience in. So the role, the context might be different, but the role is not necessarily new to me. So I do think I can play on my strengths coming into
Okay.
coming
Oh,
in.
sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you for your answer. I think that it's clear that you're quite well versed in the technical aspects of being of handling admin matters. But I think the role of a JCRC member goes beyond just like your role. I think that if you have spoken to Kevin or any of the other members, you would know that being part of the JCRC member also means like showing up and being present for things, even if it is not your role or your responsibility. So with that being said, like how do you think you'll be able to like show up for the hall next year? Like beyond the technical aspects of it, beyond like taking notes, beyond like handling admin stuff, like how do you think you'll be able to cope with just being present in hall and being somebody that your residents would know that is a JCRC member?
Okay, yeah, thank you for that question as well. Um, I'm not sure whether like I would say that for all of the hall events, regardless whether it's sports related or cult related or whichever committee is planning it, do I think I can say that I have gone for events to like in that sense show presence. So going for the events is not an issue for me because I do enjoy the events. I generally enjoy seeing like what kind of events or what kind of activities that people have planned out. And um, I think another thing is that since I won't have a lot of other commitments, I can like really dedicate all my time and energy aside from my outside of ACADS to be fulfilling the role of a JCRC member and being present for the hall in general and not just uh dealing with all of the background work. So uh I think it's not really different coming into the new year, like with what I've been doing, since I do think I have been going for the events and like fully participating and not just coming there for the food and like leaving and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for your answer. Okay, sorry, one last question from me to all the candidates. So my question is, are you guys going for tea? you all can take turns to answer.
Yes, I'm going with Alicia Chang. I will answer for her.
Um,
Sorry, the rest?
No, I'm not. Okay, then the next question is like, why am I not going, right? Okay, because basically based on certain issues, now I have to pay for a lot of things my own, and so I'll be at work. But I do think there's value in going. But another thing that I would do about making tea more accessible is either finding a more affordable location or lowering ticket prices. And that's because 2 years ago, tea was quite a big issue for Hall. So it did cause some issues with finances. And so I do think I can sympathize with Eusofians who choose not to go. And if I were elected, obviously, I'll look into finding ways to lift the burden of cost, not completely, because obviously there's value in paying and there's a reason why people still go, right? But definitely seeing what we can do about it.
Okay, wait, sorry, let me just interject here and ask, do you know what's the price of the tea tickets this year?
Yes, significantly cheaper than the previous years, which I think is honestly amazing. But I still think that not that it can be cheaper, but we need to justify it to Eusofians more. Because a lot of Eusofians are already damn, okay, they're not there, but they're super iffy about things that you have to pay for. Even like regarding ticket prices, right? DP or anything that comes with cost, they're very iffy about it. So I think the way we pitch it to people, not that there was any issue this year, but I think we can better promote it lah. And also the cost of it needs to match up in their heads. I mean, you can consider how to make them see the value, even if we already see the value. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for your answer. The rest?
No, I won't be going because I have a final exam on Thursday morning. So yeah.
I will be going.
For me, I won't be going.
Okay, thank you all for your responses. Actually, my follow-up question was that this year we struggled as JCRC and as a whole with event attendance. So as JCRC members, it's important to show up to events and to ask people to go down for the events, even if like you might be busy or you might have other commitments or stuff like that. So given your attendance or your non-attendance, what do you think is one way that we can tackle this? Like, I think Maddie has already answered the question, like better pubs or whatever. So, Maddie, is fine if you don't wish to answer again. But for the rest, like, what do you think are things that y'all would do or y'all, like, as JCRC members would do to help improve the situation, regardless of your attendance or non-attendance of tea?
Yeah, I think I'll answer for this. I think one is creating buzz. So, for one, I think as JCRC, you need to have a strong hall presence, not just during events, but like just in hall in general, like could be in the DH or in the corridor. So, could be as simple as like creating conversation or like basically just asking like freshies or not necessarily freshies, but like people in general. Oh, are you going for this? Are you going? Have you seen the new poster for this event? Go and invite your teammates. So basically just asking simple questions that will like seed the thought of the event to Yusofians in general. So it goes for all kinds of events. So yeah, it's just about creating buzz and conversation so that hopefully they will eventually realize that, oh, maybe I will go for this event.
I think I'd add on to Mikhail's point. So along with buzz, I think it would be better if we released it maybe a bit earlier as well, so people can know that, oh, there is this event that I have to look forward to. And I think he was released 3 weeks ago. So if it's possible to maybe have it a bit sooner and maybe actually have a bit of and have it a bit sooner in the year as well, because it is submissions and finals time, so everyone is a bit iffy. So that would be one thing. Yeah.
Okay, I think to interject here, the point of tea is an awards ceremony, so it's a bit hard to put it earlier in the year
Okay,
since
not earlier in the year, sorry. I meant like a bit earlier if possible, or maybe during reading week, so it's not as intense. Yeah. That's all.
okay, uh thank you for your answer.
Okay. I think for me, one thing that both me and Alicia did do as like drama heads this year is try to get all our drama members to support each other. So not just for T, because we have some drama members that were nominated for T, so we do like tell our drama members to like, oh, come down if you can, you know. And also this extends to like things like people who are in sports, right? So another thing that we both did is we encouraged the drama members to come down and like support like other drama members who are playing sports for finals during IHG. So I think this is something that maybe we can try and tap into more, because I think that a lot of Eusofians knew people of Eusoff, which is where a lot of events are advertised. So rather than blasting to like people of Eusoff and maybe even Channel EH, right? We can try and get like the heads of CCAs or like people who are in a lot of CCAs to try and convince their friends to come together, because I think that's the best way to get people interested. You know, like bring your 5 friends. Okay.
Think something that can be done also is to like do something like a blog sign up. So I think that that's what DP did this year, and I think that it worked quite well to get like create some buzz around it and to like show people like, oh, actually like my blog is going, so I will just join. So I think that's a possible area to explore to encourage sign-ups.
Sorry, I want to add on to my response. Okay, I think another thing that can help, right, is talking about it non-stop. Like, as annoying as it sounds, right, when you hear someone keep talking about it, then people around you also keep talking about it, then you get really encouraged to go. So like you said, Hall is having like a general issue of attendance, right? And honestly, this was also a problem like when I was also JDD, and DP signups were like 70 people, okay? Usually it's about 200. So you can imagine what 70 people is doing signing up for DP and how concerning it was. And so the strategy that I tried, as well as the other like DP core members tried, was to genuinely not stop talking about it. We convinced all our friends to go, tell them like, if you go, then if this one say he'll go, then the other person also say go, and then the whole chain just continues and you end up with a whole bulk of people going. So DP sign-ups actually raised from like 70 to 170-ish within like about 2 to 3 weeks. So honestly, I feel like noise marketing is a thing. And I think another way to kind of like I own self said out, we have to justify the price, right? And to prove to people why it's worth. I think another thing we can do is try to reach out to a different kind of publicity means. So for example, like obviously posters and everything work, but we need to think of a different design that makes it feel like a classy event, something that people will spend money on. Because genuinely speaking, you spend $30 on a meal, it's really not much if you compare to like going to a cafe or going to like an atas restaurant and whatnot. So I think if we pitch it as like a formal event that like, and publicity kind of like adds on to that so-called like, I wouldn't say elite, but that flashy vibe of it, people will be like, wow, this is like an event for people to get pretty and dressed up. Because if you think about it, other halls have very similar events. For example, KR has this like has their own like fancy dinner at like Gardens by the Bay, and everyone's very eager to dress up and wear pretty clothes and go there. So I feel like if we pitch it in a very like in that sort of stance, people will be more willing to go, realizing that it's not so much of like, oh, I pay money, watch my friends get like clapped for, that kind of thing, but an event where like we celebrate and we really like just act a bit more like higher or like just more like glamorous in general. Yeah, I think that will help to validate the price for them as well. Wait, Jerica, I'm sorry, you're talking, but there's no sound. But you're not muted, so I don't know why.
You can hear?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay, sorry. Oh, so sorry, that's quite a loser aura lost moment. Okay, but my question is that how do you think that we can balance like making it cheaper, finding a cheaper venue, but then making it like still classy? Because I think that Zula has already done a lot in order to reduce the price by a lot, since a lot of people's concern last year was that it was very expensive. So this year it has dropped significantly. And with that being said, if the price drops, like there has to be changes in quality. It can't be at like Gardens by the Bay or anything. And so how do you think it's possible to balance reducing the cost and also like still making a very like glamorous and very classy event?
Okay, so I would say reaching out to alumni. So right, like in DP, a lot of alumni are like reached out to it. Honestly, even for AKA, like we reached out to a lot of like alumni that are surprisingly willing to spend their money. So I think another thing is like if you reach out to them, you can secure the funds and they can sponsor you in different ways that you may not see as valuable yet until you really need it. So for example, right, even if we have like some party store like balloon connection, we can just gain decorative like means from there and then decorate the place to look better. And also because you realize a lot of classy like events, they don't necessarily need like your typical like streamers or balloons to look high end, right? They need minimalistic things that add value in a fashionable way. So I feel like purchasing these items are very accessible on like cheaper websites and stuff like that. And location wise, we can see if we have any connections with anybody. And if not, location just won't be a place that we skim like for like budget lah. We can skim somewhere else. And understandably, that may indicate like a lower like classy feel. But I think classy, like the feeling of being classy or like glamorous doesn't necessarily just come from food and place. Like it can come from the decorations you give or the way you present it or pitch it to begin with. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for your answer. I think Nathan has a question.
Okay, hi guys. I have a quick question. So as you all know, I'm the incoming president, and I think I really wanted to applaud you guys for having the courage to even run for JCRC. To put yourself out here to answer these questions and share your visions for the hall is something that's commendable, and I'm happy that you guys are stepping up to run for the roles. But I'm hearing a lot of things about like what you guys can do in your individual role. So I have just two quick questions. The first question is, how much have you guys spoken to the current JCRC members about what your role entails? By that question, I mean not just about what the job scope entails, but also the responsibility of a JCRC member as a whole. And the second question is, beyond your role, what can you do to contribute to Eusoff as an entity as well? Because I'm hearing a lot of you guys mention about how like, oh, maybe the hall spirit isn't as strong and it's something that needs to change. But beyond your role, how do you foresee that? How do you foresee yourself as a JCRC member being able to contribute to that? Yeah.
Okay, I can respond first. So sorry, Nathan, if I forget your second question by the time I finish my first question. So just give me a refresher later. But basically, you asked like whether how much we know about like our role as a JCRC and like what the role entails, right? So for me, I would say I'm pretty well versed because I was also considering running last year, but I didn't run because last year was hectic for me and I needed a break, and which is why I'm running this year instead. I would say that another thing that I think is very clear for JCRC, something Jerica mentioned. So like impact and presence. And I also think that presence is valuable. And I think the way you create a presence in hall isn't necessarily, it's not just all about like, oh, what events do I attend, where do I show face? It's also about the things you do and how you bring yourself out, carry yourself, and treat the people around you. I think that's something that you want to present to other people as a JCRC member, because firstly, you need to be approachable. Secondly, you need to be respectable. And I think personally, I'm very prepared to do that, firstly. And also because I do interact a lot with freshies / the people in my batch and so on and so forth. So I think presence is something that I'm willing to maintain and also enforce lah, because realistically speaking, not everyone's gonna respect me when they first see me. No one's gonna give me the kind of trust. And obviously I need to build that up myself. And that's something I'm willing to invest time and effort into doing, especially because relationship building is not something you can get like overnight. For your second question, I think you asked about contributing to hall as a whole entity, right? Rather than just my role. Yeah, so I think the concept of speaking out when you need help, like that's something I sincerely believe in. And I don't think it's something that's just like exclusive to my role though. Like honestly speaking, if a sports member like tore the ACL, got like fracture, sprain, whatever it is, I find it more often than not that they're like, you know what, I'm just going to tahan, I'm just going to play the game. But I think these kind of things require like careful consideration, not just by the sportsman himself, but by their teammates and by people around them, even the captains. Like, is it worth risking your health for this? Secondly, is it unnecessary? Is there someone else just as good as you, or maybe just slightly less good, but could easily train up to that standard and would be more than happy to take that spot or to, support you or help you in any other way? So I feel like as a JCRC member, I'll be looking forward to mainly working on, I won't say like prioritizing self-care and stuff, but being realistic with yourself and scaling your expectations as well as expectations of people around you and learning how to self-regulate a lot better. Yeah.
Okay, I think I can go next. Okay, so for the first question is more about being in the role of JCRC, right? So I think it's similar to what was asked previously as well, in that it's about showing presence. And I think I'll just link it to my second to my response to the second question as well, in that for one, setting a good example that you're there for all kinds of events, regardless whether it's a hall event or it's a IG game or it's a production. I think being there is already starts to send a good message that okay, there are people who are coming up for this event. And I think another thing is the way as JCRC is the way that we will present ourselves also, in that oh, we're not going for this event just because we feel obliged to because we are a JCRC member. I think it's also about portraying that sense of interest, that you're genuinely interested in seeing what the event has to offer, what genuinely supporting the games and the productions. So I think that's one. And another is establishing a presence among the hall in general, and not just sticking to what's comfortable. So for example, admittedly, I myself, I have a stronger connection with in the culture scene, but I do interact with people like who are predominantly sportsmen. And I think establishing a stronger presence in the across all of hall is very important as a JCRC member, in that it shows that you are there for the hall in general, and that you are someone that people can turn to for help. And I myself personally believe that like help should be extended to anyone, regardless what kind of help they need. And yeah, I myself am a kind of person who will just help first and not really ask questions straight away.
Okay, I think I can go next. I think I had spoken extensively with Ashley before actually signing up for the role of, or even trying to think about signing up for the role of PAD, because I know what a huge commitment it is and how seriously that I have seen my predecessors take it. So I know that it is a huge commitment, and it's something that I take on with pride if I am given the honor. And I think one of the main things that I would include with my role is something that she herself has told me, which is having passion, being accessible, and actually listening. So with passion and accessibility, I think the main thing is that I I think it's very important for a leader to ensure that it's known that they're not doing it for the sake of doing it. So not for the sake of points, not just show that, oh, because you're PAD or anything like that. But I think the main essence of it is to show that you're doing it because you have a passion for it, right? And when, even though as you're not required to be on the ground for a lot of things, but I think it's very important to be accessible to all your members. So rather than them knowing you as a leader first, they should know you as a person, as someone they can approach, as a friend, as a hallmate, right? And I think that's very, very important to establish. And then after that, it can come that, okay, this is a leader that I can turn to in times that I need. So that is one of my foremost concerns, or one of my foremost roles that I think that I will take seriously as PAD. Yeah. And sorry, I forgot your second question.
My second question was, how do you as a JCRC member like help with the hall identity and spirit beyond just your role?
Okay, I think it's alluding to a lot of the things that a lot of the candidates have already said on it, which is that you need to show that there's more hype around a lot of events. So it shouldn't be things that are just related to as PAD. I'd say that it shouldn't be things that are just related to culture. It needs to be showing up and being accessible to everyone who needs it, right? It should be seen that you're not just someone who turns up when they're needed to, but someone who shows up because they want to show up. And I think that's very, very, very important thing, and an image that I want to put forth of JCRC. Yeah.
Okay, I'll go next. So I think I have a very clear idea of what like the finance director does. I've asked Adele like all the questions that I've had about the role, and I'm also like the sectress and in the finance com, so I'm quite clear about all the procedures and most of what the job scope entails. To answer the second part of the question, which is how to ensure like the hall is more cohesive, I think one thing that the current JCRC did is many of them were unofficial members of like many CCAs. So for whether it be sports or culture, and even though finance director is not exactly the most like happening role, I do still plan to be unofficial member in like some CCAs like maybe drama or EW, and because of me still being in the CCA and partaking in events, even though I'm still a JCRC member, hopefully it will create this feeling that like I'm still, like on the ground, like what the previous candidates have mentioned. Yeah.
Yeah. So as for me, I'm also quite clear like on the current responsibilities of VPE, and I believe like I talked to you, Nathan, about it. Also understand how like as part of JCRC, you're also like a part of like something more than your role, and that also means to like support your other members and to see like to see and identify like any areas of improvement like out of your own initiative. As for like the second part of the question, I do believe like yeah, similar to like the rest of what others said, is to like show up and to show your investment in the hall that like because someone has to be like the fire starter and to show the enthusiasm first. So definitely when I'm stepping into the role, I have to like show up more and like to to like set the the temperature instead of like following others.
Okay, thank you all for your answers.
Okay, do we have any more questions from the floor? Okay, if not, since the questions from the floor took much longer than we expected, I will be cutting the Mentimeter questions to just 2 more questions. For the first question, to Mikhail, what do you think you did well as a DPPD and Corporate head, and what do you think is relevant to the role of Honjansec?
Yeah. Okay. So thank you to whoever asked this question. I think stepping into my role as uh Honjansec for JCRC, what I can draw on from my experience as a Corabella head and DPPD may not necessarily be directly translatable, but it's more about how I interact with the people. So I would say that for Corabella, given that it's a it's a new structure, it's a new CCA, I do think that my members are bonded with, and they have had an enjoyable experience in the CCA, even though we were all trying to figure out everything together. And I think it's the same goes for DP. Even though it's a very big CCA, I think um working to structure the entire CCA well has also created moments for people to bond more. So I think uh playing on those experiences will help me fulfill my role more of a JCRC member as a whole, not necessarily Honjansec, in that um I can help create like build a stronger sense of community among Eusofians as a JCRC member. And I think from that also it also teaches me to be um on the ground, to actually see what need solutions, and from there create solutions as a hundred percent. I hope that answers the question.
Okay, thank you, Mikhail. For the second question to Rowena, what are the CCAs that you think require strong support from DPE?
Yeah, so firstly, definitely will be like EER, which will be under like VPE. But other than that, I also think that um mainly it will be the comms that organize events like SMC and CMC. Like I will do what I envision myself doing is to find like possible like support and like alumni that want to support them. Other than that, I think like EP also, like in the event like there's any like funny issues or like uh issues with like audience or like yeah, I definitely can help to like find audience for that.
Thank you, Rowena. With that, we have come to the end of the rally. Voting will begin tonight at midnight and will close on Saturday, 12 April to 2359. Thank you for tuning in to the rally.